E.N.D here, day 7 and last day of the spoilers for March of the Machine. It was a pleasure that I brought you, discussed and covered all the spoiled cards of the set. Not all YouTubers, especially the big ones, nowadays do so. Let's start. And I want to start with a card that does not have nothing to do with March of the Machine. Jor-El, Voice of Zhalfir, the buy box promo for March of the Machine Aftermath. 2, 1 green and 1 blue, etc. 3. At the beginning of combat on your turn, up to 1 target land you control becomes an XX green and blue bird creature with flying and haste until end of turn, where X is the number of cards in your hand. It's still a land. Whenever a land creature you control does combat damage to a player, draw a card. The last few cards spoiled for March of the Machine. Kick Billy Rider for 2 and 1 white, it's a 1/3 double strike. Corrupted Conviction for 1 black, instant. As an addition cost to cast the spell, sacrifice a creature, draw 2 cards. I'm sure this card will see a lot of play in those mono black decks. Ichor Drinker for 1 black, it's a 1/1 with lifelink. For 1 black, exile it from your graveyard, incubate 2. Shatter the Source, 5 and 1 red, instant convoke, choose 1. It deals 6 damage to target creature, planeswalker or battle, destroy target artifact. War Historian, for 2 and 1 green, it's a 3/3, reach. It has indestructible as long as it's attacked a battle this turn. Commander, March of the Machine will have 5 pre-constructed commander decks. Here are some interesting cards from those decks. Darksteel Splicer for 6 and 1 white, it's a 1/1. When it or another non-token Phyrexian enters the battlefield under your control, create X 3/3 Calyx Phyrexian Golem artifact creature tokens, where X is the number of opponents you have. More opponents you have, more artifact golems you will create. Golems you control have indestructible. Exile the Imperfect for 1 and 2 white, instant. Exile target null and permanent, its controller incubate X, where X its mana value. Chivalric Alliance for 1 and 1 white, enchantment. Whenever you attack with 2 or more creatures, draw a card. 2, discard the card, create a 2/2 white and blue knight creature token with vigilance. Conjurer's Mantle for 1 and 1 white, artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has vigilance. Whenever equipped creature attacks, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a card that shares a creature type with that creature from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest in the bottom of your library in random order. Equip for 1. Path of the Ghost Hunter, X1 1 white. Create X1/1 white spirit creature tokens with flying. Will of the Planeswalkers. Starting with you, each player votes for Planeswalk or Chaos. If Planeswalk gets more votes, Planeswalk. If Chaos gets more votes or the vote is tied, Chaos ensues. Vulpin Harvester, 3 and 1 white, it's a 3/3. Whenever 1 or more Phyrexians you control attacks, return target artifact cards from your graveyard to the battlefield if its mana value is less than or equal to their total power. Fireman Commando, 3 and 1 white, it's a 4/3, flying. Whenever you attack with 2 or more creatures, draw a card. Whenever another player attacks with 2 or more creatures, they draw a card if none of those creatures attacked you. Wand of the World Soul, 2 and 1 white, artifact, enters the battlefield tapped. Tap for 1 white. Tap. The next spell you cast this turn has Convoke. Garden Scalelord, 4 and 1 white, it's a 3/4, backup 1, flying. Whenever this creature attacks, return target non and permanent cards with mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, where X is this creature's power. Nesting Dovehawk, 3 and 1 white, 2/2, flying. At the beginning of combat on your turn, populate. Whenever a creature token enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Filigree Vector, 3 and 1 white, it's a 1/1, enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on each of any number of target creatures and a charge counter on each of any number of target artifacts. 1. Tap, sacrifice another artifact, proliferate. Path of the Enigma, 4 and 1 blue, sorcery. Target player, draw 4 cards. Will of the Planeswalkers, vote for Planeswalk or Chaos. Schema Thief, 3 and 1 blue, it's a 3/3, flying. When it deals combat damage to a player, create a token that's a copy of target artifact that players control. Herald of Hoofbeats, 3 and 1 blue, it's a 3/3, Horsemanship, meaning that this creature can be blocked except by creatures with Horsemanship. Other knights you control have Horsemanship. Deluxe Dragster, 4 and 1 blue, it's a 4/3, can be blocked except by vehicles. When it deals combat damage to a player, you may cast target instant or sorcery card from that player's graveyard without paying its mana cost. If the spell would be put into a graveyard, exile it instead. Crew for 2. Blight Titan, 4 and 2 black, it's a 6/6 with Death Touch, enters the battlefield or attacks, mill 2 cards, then incubate X, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. Exsanguinator Cavalry for 2 and 1 black. It's a 2/3 with menace and lifelink. Whenever a knight you control deals combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 counter on that creature and create a blood token. Path of the Skimmer 4 and 1 black sorcery. Each player mills 2 cards, then you put a creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. It's an artifact in addition to its other types. Will of the Planeswalker. Vote for Planeswalk or Chaos. Infernal Sovereign 4 and 2 black 6/6 flying trample. Skip your draw step. Whenever you play a land or cast a spell, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. Locktwain Lancer 4 and 1 black. It's a 5/5 with menace. Whenever a non-token knight you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you draw a card. Pain Distributor 2 and 1 red. It's a 2/3 with menace. Whenever a player casts their first spell each turn, they create a treasure token. Whenever an artifact an opponent control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to that player. Hedron Detonator 2 and 1 red. It's a 2/3. Whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, it deals 1 damage to target opponent. Tap, sacrifice 2 artifacts, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. Death Greeter Champion 2 and 1 red. It's a 2/1. Dash for 3 and 1 red. Backup 1. Double Strike. Mirror Style Master 4 and 2 red. It's a 3/3 with backup 1. Whenever this creature attacks, for each attacking modified creature control, create a tapped and attacking token that's a copy of that creature. Exile those tokens at end of combat. Uncivil Unrest 4 and 1 red. Enchantment. Non-token creatures you control have riot. If a creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals double that damage instead. Path of the Pyromancer 4 and 1 red. Sorcery. Discards all cards in your hand. Add red mana for each card discarded this way, then draw that many cards +1. Will of the Planeswalker. Vote for Planeswalk or Chaos. Dance with Calamity 7 and 1 red. Sorcery. Shuffle your library as many times as you choose. You may exile the top cards of your library. If the total mana value of the cards exiled this way is 13 or less, you may cast any number of spells from among those cards without paying their mana cost. Path of the Animist 3 and 1 green. Sorcery. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards. Put them on the battlefield tab, then shuffle. Will of the Planeswalker. Vote for Planeswalk or Chaos. Emergent Woodworm 6 and 1 green. It's a 4/4 with backup 3. Whenever this creature attacks, look at the top X cards of your library where X is its power. You may put a permanent card with mana value X or less from among them onto the battlefield. Conclave / Captain 5 and 1 green. It's a 4/4. Backup 1, backup 1, backup 1. Trample. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, put that many +1/+1 counters on it. Mist Meadow Vanisher for 2 and 1 hybrid mana between white and blue. It's a 3/2. When it becomes tapped, exile up to 1 target non-token permanent. Return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. Vodalane Wave Knight 2 1 white and 1 blue. It's a 3/3. Whenever you draw a card, put a +1/+1 counter on each other merfolk and or knight you control. Cutthroat Negotiator 2 1 blue and 1 red. It's a 4/3. Parlay. Whenever it attacks, each player reveals the top card of their library. For each non-land card revealed this way, create a tapped treasure token. Then each player draws a card. Chaser Phantom 4 1 white and 1 blue. It's a 5/5 with Convoke. Flying Vigilance. Whenever it attacks, the next spell you cast this turn has Convoke. Wildfire Awakener X 1 1 red and 1 white. It's a 3/2 with Convoke. When it enters the battlefield, create X 1/1 red elemental creature tokens with. When this creature becomes tapped, it deals 1 damage to target player. Begin the Invasion X and the 5/5 X in mana. Sorcery. Search your library for up to X battle cards with different names. Put them on the battlefield, then shuffle. Icor Elixir 4 artifact. If you would roll 1 or more planar dice, instead roll that many planar dice +1 and ignore 1. Tap, add 2 colorless mana. Bitterhorn Nissa Animus for 3 legendary artifact equipment. Living weapon. Equip creature get +1/+1. Whenever equipped creature attacks, you may search your library for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield tab, then shuffle. Equipped for 3. Talent cards. 5 Planeswalkers will have a talent card. Elspeth Talent 2 and 2 white. Enchantment Aura. Enchant Planeswalker. Enchanted Planeswalker has +1. Create 3 1/1 white soldier creature tokens. Whenever you activate a loyalty ability of Enchanted Planeswalker, creatures you control get +2/+2 and gain vigilance until end of turn. Teferi's Talent 3 and 2 blue. Enchantment Aura. Enchant Planeswalker. Enchanted Planeswalker has -12. You get an emblem with. You may activate loyalty abilities of Planeswalkers you control on any player's turn Anytime you could cast an instant. Whenever you draw a card, put a loyalty counter on it. Liliana's talent for 2 black enchantment aura enchant planeswalker. Enchanted planeswalker has -8. Put all creature cards from all graveyards onto the battlefield under your control. Whenever a creature deals damage to enchanted planeswalker, destroy that creature. Rowan's talent for 2 and 2 red enchantment aura enchant planeswalker. Enchanted planeswalker has +1 up to 1 target creature gets +2/+0 and gains first strike and trample until end of turn. Whenever you activate a loyalty ability of enchanted planeswalker, copy that ability. You may choose new targets for the copy. Vivian's talent for 1 and 2 green enchantment aura enchant planeswalker. Enchanted planeswalker has +1. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature or land card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest in the bottom of your library in random order. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a loyalty counter on enchanted planeswalker. The legendary creatures, the commanders, Bright Palm Soul Awakener. For 1 red, 1 white, and 1 green, it's a 4/3 with backup 1. Whenever this creature attacks, double the number of +1/+1 counters on target creature. That creature can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less this turn. Brimit's Blight of Oreskos. 2, 1 white, and 1 black, it's a 3/4. Whenever you cast a Phyrexian creature or artifact creature spell, incubate X, where X is the spell's mana value. At the beginning of each end step, if a Phyrexian died under your control, this turn proliferate. Gimbal Gremlin Prodigy. 2, 1 green, 1 blue, and 1 red. It's a 4/4. Artifact creatures you control have trample. At the beginning of your end step, create a 0/0 red Gremlin artifact creature token. Put X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is the number of differently named artifact tokens you control. Kasla the Broken Halo. 3, 1 blue, 1 red, and 1 white. It's a 5/4 with Convoke. Flying, Vigilance, and Haste. Whenever you cast another spell that has Convoke, scry 2, then draw a card. Sidar Jabari of Zalfir. For 1 white, 1 blue, and 1 black. 4/3 Eminence. Whenever you attack with 1 or more knights, if Sidar is in the command zone or the battlefield, draw a card, then discard the card. Flying, First Strike. Whenever this combat damage to a player, return target knight creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Elanda and Azor. 3, 1 white, 1 blue, and 1 black. It's a 6/6. Flying, War 2. Whenever it attacks, you may pay X, 1 white, 1 blue, and 1 black. If you do, draw X cards. At the beginning of each end step, you may pay for life. If you do, create number of 1/1 black vampire knight creature tokens with lifelink equal to the number of cards you drawn this turn. Moira and Teshar. 3, 1 white, and 1 black. It's a 4/3 with flying. Whenever you cast a historic spell, return target non-permanent card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste, exile it at the beginning of the end step. If it leaves the battlefield, exile it instead of putting it anywhere else. Rashmi and Ragavan. 1 green, 1 blue, and 1 red. It's a 2/4. Whenever you cast your first spell during each of your turns, exile the top card of target opponent's library and create a treasure token. Then you may cast the exile card without paying its mana cost if it's a spell with mana value less than the number of artifacts you control. If you don't cast it this way, you may cast it this turn. Saint Raph and Rem Corolus. 1 blue, 1 red, and 1 white. It's a 3/4. Whenever it becomes tapped, create a 1/1 red human creature token. If this is the first time this ability has resolved this turn, if it's the second time, create a 1/1 blue spirit creature token with flying. If it's the third time, create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying. Whenever you cast a spell that has Convoke, untap it. Shalia and Halar. For 1 red, 1 green, and 1 white. It's a 3/3 flying vigilance. Whenever 1 or more +1/+1 counters are put on a creature you control, they deal that much damage to target opponent. So that was the last card in this particular day 7 of the spoilers of March of the Machine. This is the last day of the spoilers. I hope you really enjoyed this spoiler season. As always, don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more and more interesting videos about Magic the Gathering and the collectible world.